Hello everyone, I'm Nick2S. Welcome to my version of the old ESPN classic show, Top 5 Reasons You Can't Blame. The show took a fresh look at mistakes, controversial moments, and questionable decisions in sporting history. The goal isn't to further vilify the people involved in these stories, but rather have an alternate perspective and other evidence that goes against the grain. All you have to do is listen and have an open mind. This episode is dedicated to Pete Carroll and his questionable decision to throw the ball on 2nd and goal in the waning moment of Super Bowl 49. But before we go into the top 5 reasons you can't blame him, let's first look at the circumstances which led up to that moment in time.
Super Bowl 49. What a game! You had two number 1 seed teams. You had champs from the previous season going up against a team led by Tom Brady, trying to get his 4th ring to tie Montana and Bradshaw. You had big plays, strong hits, and all you could hope for.
A scoreless first quarter eventually led to a scoring barrage in the second. 2 touchdowns in the final minute of the half, one by each team, leading to a 14-all halftime score. After some struggles in the third quarter, the Patriots found themselves down 10 points, but some clutch strides by Tom Brady late gave him a 4-point lead with just over 2 minutes to play. But the Seahawks weren't lying down that easily. After a few first downs, seemingly the play of the game nearly had won it for Seattle.
You had this crazy deflected catch by Curse that got them all the way down to the red zone. The third crazy catch that would bring down the Patriots for a third Super Bowl in a row.
After a running play by Marshawn Lynch on first down got the ball down to the 1-yard line, the entire world waited for what felt like an inevitability.
You have 3 chances to get the ball into the end zone. All you have to do, give it to beast mode, he'll do the rest.
Millions of people were stunned to watch what happened next.
You see the offense line up in the shotgun formation and just wonder what they are doing instead of just ramming the ball in.
With under 30 seconds left, Wilson would take the snap.
He's intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler!
As the Patriots celebrated their first Lombardi trophy since 2004, Pete Carroll faced scrutiny in the post-game media aftermath.
And we'd send in our personnel, they'd send in goal line. It's not the right matchup for us to run the football.
During the highlight, you said the worst call in Super Bowl history.
And I didn't stutter. That was the worst play call in Super Bowl history.
That was the most idiotic call in the history of sports.
It was the worst play call in the history of life.
If I live to be 200, I'll never see anything as dumb in my life.
There's really nobody to blame but me, and I told them that clearly, and I don't want them to think anything other than that.
Things aren't always as they appear, and I'm here to tell you that you can't blame Pete Carroll for losing that Super Bowl. But before we get to the top 5 reasons, we have a few others which didn't make the cut. We call them the best of the rest.
The Kansas City Chiefs.
Early in the 2014 season, the Patriots were not looking like themselves. People were calling for Brady to be benched as he looked old and didn't look like the quarterback that won 3 Super Bowls. Week 4 was an absolute thumbing by the Kansas City Chiefs to the Patriots, 41-14. The press was all over the Patriots that week. But then perhaps the most famous Belichick line ever.
Well, you think having a 37-year-old...
We're on to Cincinnati. It's nothing about the past, nothing about the future. Right now we're preparing for Cincinnati.
The butt kicking got them back to focus up, and they won 23 of their next 25 games. If the Chiefs didn't knock them down that hard, the Patriots might never have gotten to the Super Bowl in the first place.
Another best of the rest, the helmet catch.
The Patriots had been jinxed in their previous 2 Super Bowl appearances. Crazy catches by Giants receivers David Tyree and Mario Manningham in the fourth quarter led to game-losing drives for the Patriots. As crushing as those plays were, perhaps they were a blessing as they prepared the Patriots mentally for the Jermaine Kearse catch. You can remember the Seahawks were all crazy wild after the catch, so crazy that they had to burn a timeout right after the play. Belichick still had a calm head, playing his defense like he planned for it. Maybe he and his players are more shell-shocked if that was their first time dealing with a miracle play.
And the last best of the rest, the NFC Playoff Curse.
A funny thing happened during the 2014 playoff season. Each week ended in some crazy or controversial way for one NFC team, which transferred to the next team next week. The Cowboys had one of their penalties taken back by the refs late versus the Lions. The Dez Bryant catch disaster the next week in Green Bay. Then Seattle mounts this amazing, crazy comeback against the Packers, including a walk-off in overtime. Seattle was just next in line for the curse. It's that simple. But it's that Green Bay game that leads us to our first reason. Reason number 5, Brandon Bostic.
Pete Carroll wouldn't have even been able to make any kind of decisions if Brandon Bostic didn't botch that onside kick.
After scoring a touchdown to make the score 19-14, Seattle was ready to kick an onside kick.
If the Packers recover that ball, they most likely hold on to it to win, and we don't see the Seahawks play in consecutive Super Bowls. If this random tight end doesn't make that fatal mistake, Pete Carroll has one less regret in his life.
Did that reason convince you? How about we hear reason number 4? The Legion of Busted. The famous Seattle secondary was not at full strength during Super Bowl 49.
Also had minor injuries leading up to Super Bowl 49.
However, the biggest blow was in the first quarter. After intercepting Tom Brady in the end zone, nickel corner Jeremy Lane broke his hand after being tackled. His replacement, Tharold Simon, would have a rough showing for the rest of the game, including letting up the game-winning touchdown to Julian Edelman.
Maybe if these injuries didn't pile up on the number 1 defense in the league, that 10-point lead in the fourth would have been held onto, and then there's no need for a last-second touchdown.
Though this reason wouldn't have mattered that much if not for... Reason number 3. Tom Brady. The Hall of Fame quarterback could not be denied that night. After being intercepted twice earlier in the game, Tom Brady went 13 of 15 for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter alone.
He had an arsenal of weapons that he knew and trusted and used to orchestrate what was then the largest fourth quarter Super Bowl comeback ever. Well, at least for a while.
Tom Brady won his 3rd Super Bowl MVP that night with the heroic effort. He conquered the demons that had kept him from winning a Super Bowl for the prior decade, and the game catapulted him into GOAT status.
I mean, come on. It wasn't like Carroll lost to a nobody. He lost to a guy who would then go on to win 3 more Super Bowls. There should be no shame when it comes to losing to Tom Brady.
3 reasons down, here's reason number 2. And it's a doubleheader. Bill Belichick and Malcolm Butler. It was their incredible game plan and practicing that helped make that interception possible in the first place.
Ultimately, it wasn't the play call that doomed the Seahawks. It was the preparation Bill Belichick did for his defense.
Bill Belichick's coaching prowess was on full display during this game, as shown by the sideline shot.
3 corners! 3! Malcolm, go!
Doing your homework and game planning bore a lot of fruit, but there was way more involved in that play than just that.
He didn't let himself get caught up in a rub route and made a beeline for the ball and hung on to it. Batting it down would have been a great enough play, but to hold on, including after tripping over his own teammate, was spectacular.
Belichick had experience in the big moments. He coached up his players. Malcolm Butler did his job perfectly. You can't blame Pete Carroll for losing this game when that coach and that player played their roles perfectly and won the game.
Now, reason number 1. Russell Wilson. How can you not blame the player who actually threw the pass?
I think it's crazy how much people forget to even mention Russell Wilson in this discussion. He's the one who threw the pass. He's the one with the stat sheet that says 1 interception. The placement of the ball wasn't great. He could have thrown it away if he didn't like the look. Hell, he could have thrown it out of bounds and people would have liked it more. Wilson's a great quarterback and a likable guy, and I think the media and fans need to give him his fair share of the blame.
If they had run the ball and Lynch fumbled, I don't think we would have heard anything about Pete Carroll. It would have been on the players to execute the play call. Why should it be any different on a passing play? Everyone likes to compare this to the 2006 Rose Bowl, and I think Pete Carroll gets boxed into being the cause of losing whenever a call goes against him. I think he should get more credit for having success as a coach, and people shouldn't be crucifying him for one play call made to try to win a Super Bowl. It's difficult to get there in the first place.
Well, there you have it. The top 5 reasons you can't blame Pete Carroll for losing Super Bowl 49. Did we convince you? Maybe, maybe not. Hopefully you gained a new perspective on the case of the head coach and the game. I'm Nick 2S. Thanks for watching.